Hi, so here are the mapping the Earth notes. So this is the top of page 4. So when we map the Earth, we use latitude and longitude. That's called a coordinate system, which is just a system of numbers. Think like Battleship, it's got numbers and letters, while on Earth we've got latitude and longitude to plot locations. So latitude, they measure north and south. So on a map of the world, like for example, this little image to the side of the notes, our latitude lines are going to be the lines that are parallel like this. And they measure distances north and south. Because for example, if you're at this latitude line, you are more north than if you're at this latitude line. So latitude lines measure north and south of the equator. And that's based off the angle to Polaris, so watch that angle to Polaris video in the latitude lab. It explains it very well. But our latitude is the same, the latitude north is the same thing as our angle to Polaris. Right, so if you see Polaris, you know you're in the northern hemisphere. And if you measure the angle from the horizon up to Polaris, that's your latitude. Latitude lines never cross, like latitude, flatitude. That's why I always remember it. Lat, flat. They never cross. So look at the lines I drew here, these green lines of latitude. They never cross. Another name for latitude is also parallels. But latitude lines are parallel. That's why that's the other name. And they never cross. And again, because they're parallel, the distance between them never changes. So I only drew a couple latitude lines on here. But in real life, there's more latitude lines, and it's always the same distance between each latitude line. All right, so lat, flat. So pause the video, go to your notes, and go to insert page 4. So insert page 4 has a map of the world, and it tells you a bunch of latitude lines. The only ones it doesn't tell you are the two at the very top of the world, or the one at the very top of the world, and the one at the very bottom of the world. If you're at the very top of the world, the North Pole, your latitude is 90 degrees. And remember, that's when Polaris is directly above your head. You gotta look straight up to see Polaris. Angle between the horizon and Polaris, Polaris being over your head. You gotta look way up. That's gonna make a 90-degree angle. So your angle to Polaris is 90 degrees. Your latitude is 90 degrees. So just to reference that, let me get my globe. Globe. If you're right here at the North Pole, your latitude is 90 north. If you're right here at the South Pole, your latitude is 90 south. So go through the reference table and write down the names of those latitude lines that are on there and their degrees north or south. All right. So this little page right here just is a more reinforcement that your latitude equals your angle to Polaris. So in this case, I have coordinates. Now, latitude, remember, that's measuring distances north and south of the equator, right? Measuring distances north and south. So latitude is that number with the north or south on it. Well, since my altitude of Polaris is the same as my latitude north, my latitude north is 25 degrees. My altitude to Polaris is 25 degrees. If my latitude is 30 south, I actually cannot see Polaris because, the Polaris is the North Star. It's above the North Pole. But if I'm down here in the southern part of the world, can't see it. Can't see it. So try those next two. And now longitude. Okay, so longitude is a little more tricky. Longitude is actually based on Earth's rotation, which is its spin. Yikes, need to get some WD-40 for that. So it's based off of Earth's rotation. When the sun is at solar noon, it's directly over a longitude line, And solar noon just means the sun is as high as it gets in the sky for you. It's directly overhead. I take it back. It's when the sun is actually directly overhead. That's called solar noon. So when the sun is directly overhead, that's the sun's at a longitude line. And longitude lines do cross. They cross at the poles, so it's kind of like a beach ball. I think is the best example. But the beach ball lines are like longitude lines. They do cross. And the prime meridian, which is 0 degrees east or west latitude, that goes through Greenwich, England, which is just because the guy from Greenwich, England made up latitude. So he's like, well, we'll make it easy for me and have 0 degrees latitude be right in my hometown. So the prime meridian goes through Greenwich, England. That is 0 degrees east or west. The equator is 0 degrees north or south. So that's latitude and longitude. Just to make sure you got this stuff. Altitude of Polaris here. Well, you're in the southern hemisphere, right? Because there's a southern latitude. Can't see Polaris. Here your latitude is 45 degrees north. In the north hemisphere you can see Polaris. And your altitude is the same as Polaris, so your altitude of Polaris is 45 degrees. And then up here, just to make sure you've got it, this should have looked something like this. Where you had the Arctic Circle, Tropic of Cancer, the equator, 0 degrees north or south. Remember, the equator is this line this blue line that separates north from south on the world. Tropic of Capricorn, Antarctic Circle, and South Pole. And Arctic Circle is 66.5 degrees north. Tropic of Cancer is 23.5 degrees north. Tropic of Capricorn is 23.5 degrees south, and then Antarctic Circle 66.5 south, South Pole 90 south. Remember, this is all from eCert page 4. So if you can't remember this stuff, it's okay. You just got to remember where to look, and that's eCert page